Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. I'm here to be talking about The Boys Season 3. Now, The Boys Season 3 takes place about a year after the events of Season 2, and with this show, things just seem to be getting a lot crazier because after all the stuff that happened in Season 2 about, basically they have leverage over Homelander with that video of what he did with that plane in Season 1, and him knowing about his kid and not being able to be with his kid, and what happened to his girlfriend, that Nazi, as they say, the Nazi bitch, Stormfront, and all that stuff. The season really shows us how unhinged and kind of psychotic he is. Like, he's always been crazy, but it just shows that he's getting crazier and more unhinged, and he's like a ticking time bomb. And so to combat that, Butcher, as you see in the trailers, he gets superpowers where, I'm going to dive into spoilers to be fair, so I'm just going to give that a heads up right there. And he, takes temporary Compound V, which gives him superpowers because he needs to be strong enough to be able to defeat Homelander. And they find out that there was a weapon that supposedly killed who was basically like the older version of Homelander called Soldier Boy from like the 80s or way back when. So they figure out what that weapon was and the conspiracy and the stuff that was covered up about what happened to Soldier Boy, and it all kind of coincides at the end. So I thought the season was like the other two seasons. I thought it was really good, well made, and the new additions to the cast, for example, I gotta say the guy, Soldier Boy, Jensen Ackles, I believe I pronounced that right. I know he's one of the two brothers from Supernatural, and that got a lot of people really interested, and I thought he did a phenomenal job. He was probably the standout for me, and it was really, like the twist and stuff, especially at the end, with, him being technically Homelander's dad. Like, this show really has ways of, story-wise, making it, like, really change the game in a lot of ways. Like, for example, with Noir, you get a lot more background and story to him, which, of course, you're thinking, oh, that's great, you learn more about him, you feel bad for him and all, and then, of course, Homelander, but it's just this season, I felt like it did a lot of stuff really interesting. Like, it really dived into a lot of characters and how they tick. With Homelander, it dived in a lot to like Butcher's past, what happened to his brother and how he sees Huey as like his brother, wants to protect him and stuff. And he kind of goes more to the dark side in a way where he does whatever it takes, as everyone's been saying, which is, I just think of that funny, whatever it takes from Avengers Endgame and stuff. It's hilarious, but he really like goes a lot more to a darker place to get done what he wants to get done. And he even teams up with Soldier Boy, who is in and of himself a ticking time bomb, where he, after being betrayed by you find out the truth, how he was betrayed by his old squad, and he was experimented on for decades by the Russians, and upon saving him, the boys save him because they want to use him to defeat Homelander, use him for their own goal. But he's going on a vendetta, killing all his old teammates, which includes Black Noir. So you learn a lot more about what happened there. You get more insight on characters when they were younger, like Grace Mallory, who is currently looking after Ryan, who is, Homelander's son, which I gotta say, the stuff at the end there with that was, like, you could see Ryan could either go into a good direction and be a good guy, or a bad direction and be a bad guy. And where it's going now, it's not looking good. And the show really gets you feeling all these type of emotions about what's going to happen going forward in future seasons. And I think that's really good because they're setting up like little seeds for potential future storylines, but also they're telling their own, cohesive story that really makes you feel invested. And I gotta say, with how all the characters are really fleshed out, it's really well done. But the season's not all perfect, even though I'm making it sound like it is. And one of my main things that I don't like about it, which may sound kind of weird, but how I feel about this show is, I think it's done intentionally, but how they how they market their stuff and how they make the show, there's lots of scenes, like a lot of sexual stuff that is just kind of thrown in there, I think, for shock value. And I hate it when, properties do that, where they do an over excessive amount of gore, or just something that doesn't have to be done like that is done like that. Like, I'll give an example. The first episode, they're going to, arrest this Soup, like the Soup who's like a criminal in the right way, like arrest him and all that type of stuff. So they go to, the place where he's at, and before that, you have a sequence of him and his boyfriend, getting really high on drugs, and he has the Ant-Man power where he shrinks. And you literally have a sequence where he shrinks, go inside the other dude's pee-pee, expands, blows him up, from the inside out. And that whole sequence was just so unnecessary and just felt really uncomfortable to watch. And there's lots of sequences like that in this season and in the show in general that it's a hard time really saying it's like one of the best shows, especially comic book shows, when they do stuff like that. And that doesn't really feel like it's necessary. Like, I get it. Some, like, you can have, like, sexual stuff in it and, like, over excessive gore and all. That's cool and all. But when it's done to a certain point where it kind of feels like it's just there just for shock value, it's kind of a turnoff for me. And the main episode that does this, but surprisingly, it's handled really well, it's called Herogasm. Now, that is where a group of all the superheroes go to have like a big orgy, an annual year thing. And there is some stuff in there about that, sure, but that's the backdrop to the main plot, which is, Soldier Boy going to, after two of his fellow teammates who betrayed him, and, Butcher and Huey teaming up with him, and more explorations on characters and all that. And even like the stuff with like Mother's Milk, yes, and about what Soldier Boy did to his family and all in the past, like all the stuff character wise and story wise is really well done, and the action's really great. Like the fight sequence between Homelander, Huey, Soldier Boy, Butcher, like that was great. The ending fight at the end of the season was great. And even some of the stuff that the show, because the show is really good at mimicking what goes on in the real world. Like, they make fun of a lot of how the media is, and like celebrity type of stuff. And they even make fun of, like, there's this one, like, it dives into politics in a way, but it kind of makes fun of both sides, so it doesn't feel like it's pushing one agenda. Like, there's this sequence where there was this one Pepsi ad, I remember, that one of the Kardashian girls was in, and it was about an Antifa type rally or whatever, where it's the civilians against the police, and then she walks up with like a Pepsi can, and they're all friends again, and Pepsi saved the day. And they do something similar about that with A-Train and his soda, and stuff like that, where they mimic stuff that goes on, but it's done for like comedic value. I think the type of writing and all that is really genius, and it really makes the show more relatable, even though it's about bad superheroes, really. So again, this season all around I thought was really well done. The performances from the cast was great. The exploration of a lot of these characters and what makes them tick was really fascinating to watch. The over excessive use of sexual stuff and gore and all, it didn't need to be that much, but it wasn't so bad. It's just some scenes like that first episode really I felt was unnecessary and just done for shock value. And how the show ends, it really leaves you wanting more and wanting to see where it goes from here. So with all that said, those are my thoughts on The Boys Season 3. Again, a really well made season. It was really good to watch. I'm glad I basically binged it, because I watched like 2 or 3 episodes last night, and then I went 2 nights ago, and then last night I finished the whole thing, and I was like, I gotta review this in the today. So it was just a well done season. But anyways, I hope you all enjoy this video. It means so much that you guys watched it. If you want to hit the subscribe button and the bell as well to get notified on when I upload, that would mean a lot to me. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye!